So how do you stay motivated? And you do both off the court and on the court.
Well, I'm in a position where I can be the best I can be each and every night. I have a organization, I have a team, I have great coaches around me that can put ourselves in a position to be the best each and every year. And then personally, I hold myself up to a standard higher than anyone. So that keeps me going.
I would never say I was cutthroat. I was a competitor. Cutthroat sounds like I'm a villain. I'm not. I'm a competitor to a point where if you're my opponent, if I knock you down, I'm not picking you up.
A good competitor always evaluates his opponent, and you understand for what he really is, but you never try to give him confidence. You try to take it at all times, and sometimes it's easier to take confidence and sometimes it's harder. But mentally, I gotta find a way, and sometimes you have to trick yourself.
I see that all that trash talking starts when it's 0-0 instead of 5-6 point lead. That's where it starts.
You have to look inside yourself and find the different types of challenges from game to game.
I wasn't trying to dunk on you. I wasn't trying to dunk on you. I got you, didn't I? Your rookie year.
Started in Chicago.
I look at who I'm playing against, look at some of the things that now I can focus and pull out to get me ready for the game.
MJ. He did it! Michael shakes the finger. He finally got his dunk on Mount Matumbo.
That's how I got myself motivated, but it wasn't the same every game. It was, I had to trick myself. I had to, more or less find a focus to go out and play at a certain level for whatever reason.
Kittles has it knocked away by Michael Jordan. Basket and a foul. Michael Jordan can give the Bulls a 3-point lead with a critical defensive play.
This whole thing about you practicing. I mean, if you talk to any of your teammates, they would say, even if they saw something in the game, it's like, shoot, you should have saw him Thursday. The practice with you was like they had a game instead of practice.
When I got to the pros, Kevin Lockery, when I was drafted number 3, Kevin Lockery used to put me on the starting 5. Killing the second 5. But he wanted to test me out. So we can be, let's say we're going to 8, and it can be 5-1, 5-2 against the second team. If you lose, you gotta run. He would switch me in the middle of the game to the second team. And I'm saying, well, okay, you're trying to prove a point. Boom, we'll bounce back and win the game. Those are all training tools. And every day in practice was like that to me. It was a competition. So when the game comes, there's nothing that I haven't already practiced. It's a routine. Whatever happens in the game now, okay, I've done this before.
Short for the win. Got it! At the buzzer, he's done it again!
Was fear of failure a motivator?
I never feared about my skills, because I put in the work.
Put him away, MJ.
Work ethic eliminates fear.
Yes.
So if you put forth the work, then what are you fearing? You know what you're capable of doing, what you're not.
We're down to 2, now to 1. Here's Jordan.
You are widely accepted as the greatest swimmer of all time. What do you feel separates good athletes from the best athletes?
I think it comes back to what I was saying earlier about, I think a lot of it is mental. If you want to do something and you want it that bad, you'll make sacrifices. And, growing up for me as a kid, I made a lot of sacrifices that I didn't seem that they were a big deal, and I don't think of them as being a big deal right now. there were Saturdays or Fridays where, I'd give up going to a dance or hanging out with my friends because I had workout the next day. But those things that I gave up, were things that I wanted to help me get to my goal. And there were times where I've been put in uncomfortable situations, but I've used my mental power, my mental strength to push through it. I think that's how you can look at any of the athletes in the world. I mean, Tiger, the guy has a busted knee and still comes and destroys the rest of the field. That's the thing. It's like people don't make excuses. Some of the best athletes, or the greatest athletes in the world, do things when they're uncomfortable. Everybody can compete when they're feeling good, happy, excited, rested. But it's the best people who can overcome when they're tired, sore, not in the great mind, not in the best mindset. And I think mental power that the greatest athletes have can push all the pain aside. And I mean, like when I was doing that Navy SEALs thing, was it easy for me to do it? No. Was it easy for me to climb over a 45-foot wall and look down? Not at all, and I'm afraid of heights. But, I said to myself, I'm going to do this and no one's going to stop me. And I think that's the biggest thing, is how strong you can be mentally. I think that really shows who the person is. So I think that's one thing that separates the good from the greatest.
You told Harpo to beat me. All my life I had to fight. I had to fight my daddy. I had to fight my uncles. I had to fight my brothers. Girl, child ain't safe in the family men's. But I ain't never thought I had to fight in my own house. I loves Harpo. God knows I do. But I kill him dead before I let him beat me. Woo! Dead son, Miss Celie. You keep on advising him like you do.
This life be over soon. Heaven lasts always.
Girl, you ought to bash Mr. head open and think about heaven later.
The Color Purple was a life-changing event for me because it taught me that you can dream the dream and that God can have a bigger dream. But most importantly, it taught me the power of surrender. It taught me when you've done everything you can do, you don't just have to stand. When you've prayed and cried and stood and tried some more and sacrificed and wanted and dreamed and held on and believed and got turned down and turned back and turned around, it taught me that when you've done everything you can do, surrender all. Surrender all. Because there's a bigger dream. There's a bigger dream waiting for you, just waiting for you to step into it. To step into it. Your life is big. Your life is huge. And we spend so much time wanting to be in somebody else's life. And you don't get honored, you don't get revered, you don't get celebrating wanting what somebody else has, because that which created you, divine intelligence that dreamed you from before your ancestors ever knew they would become your ancestors, that which dreamed the seed of you, wants you to know how special, how wondrous, how mysterious, how complex, how glorious, how phenomenal you are. And you get no credit messing in somebody else's territory or trying to have power over something you have no control. Another one of my favorite teachings is The Wizard of Oz. When the Wicked Witch of the West says, go away from here because you don't have any power here, you have no power in any territory other than your own. Oh, but you are the master of that. You get to be the master of your own fate. You get to be the captain of your own soul. And if you just manage that, if you just took care of your territory, oh, the glorious, 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 wondrous opportunities and possibilities that are waiting for you. So the question is, what are you resisting? What are you pushing against? What are you not allowing? What are you blocking because you have this idea of who and what you're supposed to be, instead of leaning into the dream that's already been created and waiting for you? It's waiting for you. And the second, it's an instant thing. It's a shift in the way you see yourself and the power from which you have come.
Anybody that's out there doing, they know how hard it is to actually do. And I'm like a motivation of the doers. If everything I did failed, which it doesn't, it actually succeeds. But if everything I did failed, just the fact that I'm willing to fail is an inspiration. People are so scared to lose that they don't even try. Like, one thing that people can't say is they can't say, I'm not trying. I'm not trying my hardest, and I'm not trying to do it the best way that I know how with what little information I get.
Well, it was 1991. I was just about your age then, and I had written my first play. It was called I Know I've Been Changed. It was about adult survivors of child abuse, and I wanted to do this show, and just my intention was just to make enough money to be able to take care of my mother. That's all I wanted to do. That was my goal. Make the money and retire her. Anyway, I just moved to Atlanta to try and launch this play, so I went to work. I would always work. You have to always work. You got to always go to work. I managed to save $12,000, and I put the show up, working, used car, bill collector, H&R Block tax return that wasn't quite right, but I got my money out of it. I thought 1,200 people would show up that weekend, but only 30 showed up. My car payment, rent, everything was tied up in it, so I ended up homeless. I ended up out on the street with no money and nothing to my name. But I knew that that is what I was supposed to be doing. I knew that I was on a good foundation. I had put in the work. This was supposed to work. It was supposed to be successful, but it wasn't. Over and over again, it failed, or so I thought. From 1992 to 93 to 94, every year I was doing one show a year. I would go get a job in between, and they would tell me I couldn't take time off. So I would quit. Now, I'm not telling you to go quit your job. I'm telling you what I did. This is my story. I would go tell my boss that I need some time off, and they'd say, no, you just got started working. You just got this job. You can't have any time off. But I knew that that was my destiny, so I kept on doing the play. Every year I would do it. It would fail, fall short, until 1998. In 1998, in the 7th year of me trying, the 7th year of me trying, I was about to give up and walk away. I had enough of it. I was going to do like my mother said. She said, baby, go down to the phone company, get you a good job, making about $350 a week and some benefits, and you'll be all right. But how many of you know mama's dream for you is not necessarily your dream for yourself? I knew I was in the right place when one day I started getting notes from people, this was before email, who had seen the show. They would say, this really touched me. This really helped me. They started telling me how it had changed their lives, how they were moved by it. Then I realized, wait a second, this story that I'm telling about these adult survivors getting over things, this isn't just about me or where I come from. It's a healing for many people. I saw it, I got it, and it hit me, and my intention changed. At that moment, it was no longer about making enough money to take care of anybody. It became about what it did for the people who saw it, who saw themselves. My entire intention changed in 1998, and everything in my life shifted after that. I was still doing the same show. I was still doing the same things, but because my intention changed, my purpose in what I was doing, this for had changed. My intention became about, how do I serve other people? How do I lift other people? When I realized that, everything in my life began to fall into place. So I want to talk to you about intention today. What is your intention in your career? Why did you choose it? What is your purpose? Because let me tell you, Whatever you set your intention as, that is where you will land. You know, once I changed my intention, once it became about, you're going to hear that word a lot, intention. Once it became about going out on the road with my plays to share what I had learned about life, about faith, and about God, and about forgiveness. Once I did that, everything that I touched seemed to see major success. My intention was to use what I had learned in life, to use my gifts, my writing, and everything within me to lift people, to motivate them, to make them laugh, to use the laughter as an anesthetic so that I could talk about things that were plaguing our community that nobody wanted to talk about. Things like domestic violence and molestation and rape and AIDS and HIV, getting over heartbreak, getting over things that tried to take us out. To talk about someone that no one wanted to talk about in this politically correct society, and that is the name of Jesus. You see, to me, my work is a how-to manual for the average person, for people like me when I was growing up, who couldn't afford therapy, people who couldn't afford to take time off from work while they figured things out, for people who couldn't get in their car and go to the country club and play a round of golf and work things out in their head. It was for people like the people that raised me, people that I'm not ashamed to own like many of us do once we get a few letters behind our name. When my intention changed so that everything in my life, I began to live in purpose and live on purpose. I never thought about money or success again, but it kept coming my way. So much so that I was playing arenas, even until this day, 20, 30,000 people coming into the arenas over a weekend, packing the place just to see my live plays. Then on to incredible success in film with over about 15 movies grossing over $1 billion. Then on to television, where I provided jobs and made more millionaires than all the studios combined in a 10-year period when blacks were absent from television and the film. I helped people like Idris Elba by giving him his first movie. I worked with Kerry Washington before Scandal, and Taraji P. Henson before Empire, with Viola Davis before How to Get Away with Murder, and Miss Cicely Tyson, the legendary Cicely Tyson. She said that I helped revitalize her career, and there are many more. Nothing changed in what I was doing other than my intention. So today I want to challenge you to know your intention.